Good morning, students. Welcome to the class. Today we will discuss proton NMR spectroscopy. Proton NMR spectroscopy was actually developed by physicists in 1940, and then it was applied to organic compounds in 1951. So for this discovery, Edward Mills Purcell and Felix Bloch, they won the Physics Nobel Prize in 1952. Now we will look at nuclear spin. What is nuclear spin and how it is related to NMR, nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy? Like electrons possess spin, plus of and minus of. In a similar fashion, all the nuclei also possesses nuclear spin. This is nuclear spin quantum number. Nuclear spin quantum number. So all the nuclei possesses nuclear spin, and the number of spin states, which is indicated by the number of spin states for each nucleus, is given by 2i plus 1 formula. The number of spin states is given by 2i plus 1. They range from minus I to plus I. Like azimuthal quantum number 2l plus 1, whose values range from minus L to plus L. So similarly, the number of spin states of a nucleus are 2i plus 1, ranges from minus I to plus I. I'll give you a table. Element, nuclear spin state, nuclear spin quantum number, number of spin states. For hydrogen 1 proton, we have a nuclear spin of half. So that means it will have 2i plus 1. So it will have two spin states, minus I and minus of plus of. Similarly, for deuterium, nuclear spin is 1. So it will have 3, 2i plus 1, 2 into 1 plus 1. So it will have 3 spin states, minus 1, 0, plus 1. For carbon 6 and 12, nuclear spin is 0. So number of spin states is also 0. Now, how do we identify whether some nuclei have nuclear spin or not? There is a thumb rule. Either if atomic number or mass number, if any one of them or both of them are odd numbers, either atomic number or mass number, any one of them or both are odd numbers, then it will have some nuclear spin quantum, so nuclear spin. If both are even numbers, then absolutely the nuclear spin is 0. Both atomic number and mass number, both are even numbers, then its nuclear spin quantum number is 0. For carbon 6 and 13, it will have a nuclear spin of half, so the number of spin states will be 2. For nitrogen 7 and 14, though mass number is even number, but atomic number is odd number, so it possesses nuclear spin. Its I value is 1, so the total number of spin states is 3. Similarly, for nitrogen 15, the nuclear spin is half, so number of spin states is 2. For oxygen 8 and 16, both are even numbers, so the nuclear spin is 0. Number of spin states is also it's not 0, it is 1, right? 2i plus 1, 0 plus 1, 1. Sorry for this. Take this correction, it is 1. For oxygen 817, the nuclear spin state is 5 by 2, so the possible number of spin states 6. For fluorine 919, the spin quantum number is half, possible spin states is 2. Similarly, for phosphorus 1531, spin quantum number is half, possible spin states is 2. For chlorine 35, spin quantum number is 3 by 2, possible number of spin states is 4. Take this correction, when we have spin quantum number 0, then we don't use this formula, so the number of spin states is also 0. Okay, so for oxygen 8 and 16 also, the number of spin states is 0. So if it doesn't have any nuclear spin, then it doesn't have any nuclear spin states. So we have just studied about the nuclear spin. Now we will take the example of proton whose nuclear spin is half, and we also consider chlorine 1735 whose nuclear spin quantum number is 3 by 2. Right. The possible number of spin states are 2i plus 1, so it is 1 plus 1, 2 states. So for proton, we have 2 spin states, probably plus minus of 2, plus of, so nothing but the 2 spin states are, one is minus of, another one is plus of. Similarly, for chlorine also, according to this 2i plus 1 formula, the total number of spin states for chlorine are 4, probably from minus 3 by 2 to plus 3 by 2, or we can say minus 3 by 2, minus of, plus of, plus 3 by 2. So chlorine will have these 4 spin quantum numbers, right? How do they look like? Without any applied magnetic field, without magnetic field. When we don't apply magnetic field, or we don't keep this atom or molecule in the magnetic field, these 2 spin states are degenerate. These 2 spin states are degenerate. That means absolutely they are having equal energy. They are having same energy. Right. But when they are kept in a magnetic field, when they are placed in the magnetic field, what will happen? These 2 nuclear spin states, they are no more degenerate. They will split into high energy and lower energy. So for example, in this case, in the x-axis, along the x-axis we have energy, and the y-axis is not a coordinate axis. It is without magnetic field, this is with magnetic field. Now, which one will be lower energy, which one will be higher energy? For example, I always used to represent an applied magnetic field like this. An applied magnetic field like this. When we apply a magnetic field, one nuclear spin state will be aligned along the magnetic field. Another nuclear spin state will be aligned opposite to the magnetic field. So among these 2, one will be aligned along the magnetic field, one will be aligned opposite to the magnetic field. So the one which is aligned along with magnetic field will have lower energy. The one which is aligned opposite to the magnetic field will have higher energy because of the magnetic repulsions. Generally, the plus of state is aligned along with the magnetic field. The minus of spin state is aligned opposite to the magnetic field. So plus of spin state will be lower in energy, minus of spin state will be higher energy. So the lower energy spin states are aligned along the magnetic field. The higher energy spin states are aligned opposite to the magnetic field. Generally, these spin states are also named like alpha, beta, gamma, something like this. So this is alpha spin state for proton. This is beta spin state for proton. Similarly, for chlorine, we have 4 different spin states, right? So when we want to represent them for chlorine without no magnetic field, absolutely these 4 spin states are degenerate. With magnetic field, the plus 3 by 2 plus of they will align along the magnetic field, so they will have lower energies, plus 3 by 2 plus of, and minus of minus 3 by 2 they will be aligned opposite to the magnetic field, so they will possess minus of minus 3 by 2. Okay, so the plus nuclear spin states are aligned along with the magnetic field, so that is why their energies are low. The minus spin states are aligned opposite to the magnetic field, so their energies are high. And these are lowest energy is plus 3 by 2, then plus of minus 3 by 2. This is applied magnetic field. Why we are discussing nuclear spin? You know, the nucleus which is having non-zero nuclear spin quantum number, they are only NMR active. They are only NMR active. So that means if you want to study the nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy of some nuclei, then the nucleus must have non-zero nuclear spin quantum number. If the nucleus possesses zero spin quantum number, then it is NMR inactive. For example, proton whose spin quantum number is half, yes, it is NMR active. Chlorine, yes, it is also NMR active. But for carbon 6 and 12 whose nuclear spin is 0, it is NMR inactive. But carbon 6 and 13 whose nuclear spin is half, it is NMR active. Okay, so the nuclei which are having non-zero nuclear spin quantum number, they are only NMR active. Now we will discuss about the energy absorption. So when an NMR active nucleus is placed in a magnetic field, their spin quantum, their spin states, for example, if it is proton, then their spin states with one is plus of, another one is minus of alpha beta spin states. When we supply a radio frequency waves, then what will happen? The nucleus will absorb radio frequency waves. When they absorb radio frequency waves, what will happen? They will undergo spin inversion. They will undergo spin inversion. So what happens? when they absorb radio frequency, the nuclei from alpha spin state now will be excited to beta spin state. So that means what we can say, the nucleus is now at alpha spin state. Say for example, if you take one nucleus here, this nucleus after absorbing radio frequency, it excites to beta spin states. So we will write like this. So when radio frequency waves are passed to the NMR active nucleus, they absorb radio frequency waves so that a nuclear transition takes place where a nucleus from alpha spin state will be excited to beta spin state, which leads to inversion of spin. So how we can say what is the amount of energy absorbed here? So the amount of energy absorbed here is nothing but the energy difference between these two spin states, right? So the energy of higher energy state minus the energy of lower energy state. So how much energy is required for this electronic nuclear transition? It is the energy difference between these alpha and beta spin states. Generally, we represent it h nu. H nu means energy of radio frequency waves. Energy of radio frequency waves, right? But in fact, the delta E, that means energy difference, it is a function of it is a function of gyromagnetic ratio and applied magnetic field. It is a ratio of, it is a function of gyromagnetic ratio and applied magnetic field, which is equal to H nu. Or delta E is equal to, generally, it is quantized process. All absorption and all energy absorptions are quantized. In NMR also, the energy absorption is a quantized process, uh, which is in this form, which is a quantized in the multiples of h by 2 pi. So it is gamma into h by 2 pi into beta naught is equal to h nu, or we can simply say nu, because h will get cancelled. So nu is equal to gamma by 2 pi into beta naught. So this is the formula required to calculate the frequency in the NMR. So using this formula, if you know the gamma value and applied magnetic field value, then we can easily calculate the frequency of absorption. So at what frequency or at what energy the nucleus will absorb radiation. Now, what is gamma? Gamma means gyromagnetic ratio or magnetogyric ratio. It is generally characteristic of a particular nucleus. Gamma is a characteristic of a particular nucleus. It is given by magnetic moment by angular momentum. Magnetic moment by angular momentum. As I said, it is a characteristic for a particular nucleus. So its value changes from nucleus to nucleus. That means, for example, for proton, the gyromagnetic ratio is 2.675 into 10 power 8 per Tesla per second inverse. For carbon 13, the value is 0.6728 into 10 power 8 per Tesla per second. You can compare the values of gyromagnetic ratio for proton and carbon 13. It is almost 4 times of the carbon value, right? So you just take the ratio, you will get 4. So hydrogen gamma value is 4 times larger than carbon 13 value. So we have just seen that energy difference or frequency is proportional to B naught, that is applied magnetic field. Energy difference or frequency of absorption is proportional to B naught. That means when we increase the B naught, that means applied the value of applied magnetic field, then energy difference of two spin states will also increase. What does it mean? Say for example, we can easily represent like this. Okay, for example, if you have 1.41, if you apply 1.41 Tesla magnetic field, this is the mean level, then the spin states, this is alpha spin state, this is beta spin state, and the energy difference will be around 60 megahertz. No, this is the energy difference. For example, if we apply 14.1 Tesla, then what will happen? The energy difference will increase. Energy difference will increase. So with increase in applied magnetic field, the energy difference between alpha spin state and beta spin states will also increase. The energy difference will also increase. Just remember these values. When we apply 1.41 Tesla, its frequency is 60 megahertz. When we apply 14.1 Tesla, its frequency value is 600 megahertz. So this is with applied magnetic field. So what I will do for calculation purpose, better I'll give some applied magnetic field values and the frequencies. Okay, 1.41 Tesla, it is 60 megahertz. For 2.35 Tesla, it is 100 megahertz. For 4.70 Tesla, it is 200 megahertz. You can multiply this 2.35 Tesla, 100 megahertz. Just multiply 2 times or multiply 3 times. 7.10 Tesla, 300 megahertz, or multiply 5 times. 11.75 Tesla, it is 500 megahertz. So something like this. You just multiply it, okay? Or if you take 14.092, that is nothing but 14.01 Tesla, its frequency is 600 megahertz. You just calculate it, okay? For example, if you want to have 800 megahertz frequency, then what should be the magnetic field value? You just calculate it, okay? So based on this table, we can calculate the frequencies of different instruments. Okay, so in NMR instruments, they will have 100 megahertz instrument, 200, 300, 500. So based on that, we also have magnetic field values. From this, if you know the frequency on a 100 megahertz instrument, then you can calculate the frequency on a 300 megahertz instrument. So for that calculation purpose, you can take this table.